I never thought I'd see her face again, but there she was, standing in my office doorway, looking exactly like the woman who destroyed me a decade ago. If you want to know how I survived the worst betrayal of my life and what happened when she came back, stay with me until the end of this story. You won't believe how this turns out. And if you're enjoying this, hit that like button and subscribe, because I share real stories about love, loss, and second chances every week. My name is Daniel, and 10 years ago, I was the happiest man alive. I was 28, running my father's construction business, and about to marry the love of my life. Emma was everything I'd ever dreamed of. We'd met in college, dated for 6 years, and I knew with absolute certainty that she was my forever. She had this laugh that could light up the darkest room, and when she looked at me, I felt like I could conquer the world. The wedding was planned for months. We'd chosen a beautiful venue overlooking the ocean, invited 200 guests, and spent her savings on making it perfect. My mother had tears in her eyes every time she talked about finally getting a daughter. My best friend Marcus kept joking about how I was punching above my weight. Everyone was excited. Everyone was ready, except Emma. The morning of the wedding, I was at the venue early, greeting guests, shaking hands, feeling like my heart might burst from joy. The ceremony was set for 4 in the afternoon. By 3:30, I was standing at the altar in my tailored suit, watching the seats fill up with everyone we loved. The string quartet played softly. The flowers Emma had personally selected swayed in the ocean breeze. Everything was perfect. 4 o'clock came. No Emma. 4:15. Her bridesmaids were whispering frantically, phones pressed to their ears. Her maid of honor, Jessica, kept avoiding my eyes. 4:30. My mother was crying, but not the happy tears she'd anticipated. My father's hand was on my shoulder, squeezing tight. At 4:45, Jessica finally approached me. Her face was pale, her hands shaking as she held out a folded piece of paper. "Daniel, I'm so sorry. She left this for you." I remember my hands trembling as I unfolded that letter. The words are burned into my memory even now. "Daniel, I can't do this. I thought I could, but I can't. I need to find out who I am without you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't look for me. Emma." That was it. 6 years together, months of planning, 200 guests watching, and she reduced it all to 4 sentences on a piece of notebook paper. I don't remember much of what happened next. Marcus says I just stood there for 10 minutes, staring at the ocean. My mother was sobbing. Guests were murmuring. Eventually, my father took the microphone and made some announcement about the wedding being postponed. People shuffled out awkwardly. Some offered condolences like someone had died, maybe someone had. The version of me that believed in fairy tales certainly did that day. The weeks after were brutal. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her walking down that aisle toward me. Except in my dreams, she actually made it. Then I'd wake up and remember the truth. She left me standing there like a fool in front of everyone I knew. The humiliation was almost worse than the heartbreak. Almost. I threw myself into work. It was the only thing that made sense. Blueprints and deadlines didn't care about my feelings. Construction projects didn't require trust. I worked 16-hour days, took on projects across the state, and built a wall around my heart that I swore no one would ever breach again. Marcus tried to get me to date. "Man, you can't let one person destroy you," he'd say. But I wasn't destroyed. I was cautious. I was smart. I'd learned my lesson. I dated occasionally over the years, but never seriously. I never let anyone get close enough to hurt me again. I'd built a good life, successful business, and a comfortable routine. I didn't need anyone. That's what I told myself anyway. Then, on a Tuesday morning in October, 10 years after the wedding that never was, my secretary buzzed me. "Mr. Cooper, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important. Her name is Emma Richardson." My blood turned to ice. Emma Richardson. She'd kept my last name, at least in asking to see me. Or maybe she'd never gotten married either. I didn't know anything about her life. True to her letter, I hadn't looked for her. I'd deleted every photo, thrown away every gift, and refused to ask mutual friends about her. She'd wanted to be erased from my life, and I'd obliged. "Send her in," I heard myself say. The door opened, and there she was. 10 years had passed, but she was still beautiful. Maybe more so. Her hair was shorter now, cut in a sleek bob. She wore a professional gray dress, and carried herself with a confidence I didn't remember. But her eyes were the same. Those hazel eyes that used to look at me with love now looked at me with something I couldn't quite identify. Fear? Regret? Hope? "Hello, Daniel," she said softly. Emma. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Cold. Distant. Good. This is unexpected. She flinched slightly at my tone. I know I have no right to be here. I know you probably hate me, but I need to talk to you, please. Part of me wanted to tell her to leave, to slam the door on her the way she'd slammed the door on us. But another part of me, a part I thought I'd killed years ago, needed to know why. After all this time, I needed to understand. Sit down, I said, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. I stayed behind the desk. Distance. Safety. She sat, clutching her purse in her lap. You look good, she said. Successful. I've seen articles about your company. You've done amazing things. Is that why you're here? To congratulate me on my success? The bitterness in my voice, sharp enough to cut. No. She took a deep breath. I'm here to apologize. And to explain. You deserved an explanation 10 years ago, and I was too cowardly to give you one. I'm listening. She looked down at her hands. The morning of the wedding, I woke up and had a panic attack. Not just nerves. A full-blown panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I felt like the walls were closing in. And I realized I had no idea who I was. I'd been Daniel's girlfriend since I was 22. Before that, I was my parents' daughter, following their rules, meeting their expectations. I'd never been just Emma. I didn't know what I wanted or who I was without someone else defining me. So you ran. So I ran, she admitted, tears welling in her eyes. I drove to the airport and bought a ticket to Seattle. I had a cousin there. I thought I'd stay a few weeks, clear my head, and come back. But weeks turned into months. I got a job, started therapy, started figuring out who I was, and I realized I couldn't come back until I'd done that work. 10 years, Emma. It took you 10 years? Yes, she whispered. Because I was broken, Daniel. I had anxiety I'd never addressed, depression I'd hidden, issues with my parents I'd never confronted. I wasn't ready to be anyone's wife. I would have made us both miserable. I sat back in my chair, processing. Part of me understood. Part of me was still furious. You couldn't have told me this before the wedding. We could have postponed. We could have worked through it together. I tried to tell you so many times, but you were so happy. Everyone was so happy. And I thought maybe the wedding would fix me. Maybe once I was your wife, I'd feel complete. She wiped her eyes. I know how stupid that sounds now. You can't marry someone hoping they'll fix you. That's not fair to anyone. We sat in silence for a moment. 10 years of anger, confusion, and hurt hung between us like fog. Why now? I finally asked. Why show up now? Because I'm finally healthy. I've done the work. I know who I am now. And I've spent 10 years regretting the way I handled things. You deserve better than a note, Daniel. You deserved honesty, respect, and a real goodbye. I can't give you those things retroactively, but I can give you a sincere apology and the truth. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I just needed you to know that leaving you had nothing to do with you and everything to do with me. You were wonderful. You are wonderful. I was the one who wasn't ready. Something in my chest loosened slightly. For 10 years, I'd wondered what I'd done wrong, if I'd been too clingy, too boring, too something. Hearing her say it wasn't about me helped in a way I hadn't expected. Okay, I said simply. She looked up, surprised. Okay, thank you for telling me. I appreciate the apology. I do. But Emma, you broke something in me that day. I haven't let anyone close since. I don't know if I can anymore. I know, she said sadly. And I'm sorry for that too. I don't expect anything from you. I just needed to say these things. She stood up, smoothing her dress. I'll go now. Thank you for seeing me. She walked to the door, and I thought that would be it. Closure, finally, after all these years. But as her hand touched the doorknob, I found myself saying, Emma, wait. She turned. Are you happy now? Did you find what you were looking for? A small, genuine smile crossed her face. Yes. I'm a therapist now, actually. I help other people work through the things I struggled with. I have a small practice in Portland. I have good friends, a nice apartment, and most importantly, I have peace with myself. I found what I was looking for. Good, I said, and I meant it. I'm glad you found your peace. She nodded, and this time, she did leave. I sat at my desk for a long time after she was gone, feeling things I hadn't felt in years. Sadness, relief, something that might have been forgiveness. That night, I called Marcus, you're not going to believe, who showed up at my office today. Over beers, I told him everything. Marcus, who'd watched me self-destruct 10 years ago and slowly rebuild, listened carefully. When I finished, he said, how do you feel, honestly? Lighter? Like I've been carrying this weight and didn't even realize it. Her explanation doesn't erase what happened, but it helps me understand it wasn't personal. Do you think you'll see her again? I don't know. Part of me wants to stay away. Part of me is curious about who she is now. Marcus raised his beer. Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you for letting her explain. That took guts. I thought that would be the end of it. But Emma had left her business card on my desk. I found myself looking at it over the next few days. Finally, a week later, I called her. Emma, it's Daniel. Do you want to get coffee? We met at a neutral cafe downtown. It was awkward at first, but then we started talking. Really talking. She told me about her years in Seattle, her journey through therapy, her decision to become a therapist herself. I told her about growing the business, about my fear of relationships, about the walls I'd built. I understand if you can't forgive me, she said. What I did was unforgivable. I'm working on it, I admit. But Emma, I need you to understand something. We're not getting back together. That ship sailed 10 years ago. If we're going to be in each other's lives at all, it has to be as different people, not who we were. I understand, she said. I'm not here to reclaim the past. I can't. I just think maybe we could be friends, maybe. Over the following months, we did become friends, cautiously, slowly. We'd meet for coffee every few weeks. She told me about her clients, her work, her life. I told her about projects, about finally considering dating seriously again. She encouraged me to tear down those walls I'd built. You deserve love, Daniel, she said one afternoon. Real, deep, committed love. Don't let what I did rob you of that. I'm trying, I said. It's hard to trust. I know, but you can't let one person's failure define your entire future. Take it from someone who spent years running from herself. Her words stuck with me. I started dating more seriously. I went to therapy myself, working through the abandonment issues and trust problems Emma had left behind. It was hard work, but necessary. A year after Emma came back into my life, I met Sarah. She was an architect I'd worked with on a project. She was patient, understanding, and when I told her my history, she didn't run. She gave me space to heal while showing me what healthy love looked like. Emma was happy for me. She sounds wonderful, she said when I told her about Sarah. You deserve this. Thanks, I said. And thank you for coming back. I didn't think I needed closure, but I did. You gave me that. We both needed it, she said. And Daniel, I'm genuinely happy for you. Seeing you build a life, seeing you learn to trust again. It helps me forgive myself a little. 2 years after Emma showed up in my office, Sarah and I got engaged. This time, there was no fear, no doubt, just certainty and joy. And when I stood at the altar on my wedding day, watching Sarah walk toward me with tears in her eyes and a radiant smile on her face, I didn't think about Emma or the wedding that never was. I thought about how sometimes we have to experience heartbreak to recognize real love when it finally comes. Emma sent a card. She didn't come to the wedding, and I didn't expect her to. But her card said simply, "Congratulations, Daniel. I'm so happy you found your forever. You always deserved it." Emma, I kept that card, not out of lingering feelings, but as a reminder that healing is possible, that forgiveness is possible, that sometimes the people who hurt us are fighting battles we know nothing about, and their actions aren't always about us. If you're dealing with heartbreak right now, I want you to know that it gets better. It might take time, it might take work, but you will heal. You will love again. Don't let someone else's inability to love you properly make you believe you're unlovable. You're not. The right person will see your worth and never make you question it. And if someone from your past shows up asking for forgiveness, it's okay to listen. It's also okay not to. Do what's right for your healing. But remember, forgiveness isn't about them. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of anger and hurt. It's about choosing peace over pain. Emma and I rarely talk now. We've both moved on with our lives. But I'm grateful she came back that day. I'm grateful for the explanation, the apology, and the closure. Most of all, I'm grateful that her abandonment didn't destroy me. It changed me, yes, but it also taught me resilience, self-worth, and eventually how to recognize real love when it arrived. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share your own stories in the comments. We're all healing from something, and sometimes knowing we're not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for watching, and remember, your past doesn't define your future. You do.